Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is Force back with some more Destiny discussion. Today, we're going to sit down and have a talk about the Loot Cave. The Loot Cave, the one that took the world by storm, is no more. But there will always be a Loot Cave, some variation of it, unless some pretty significant changes take place, and that's sort of what I'd like to talk with you about here today. So let's start off by talking about why the Loot Cave even happened. Why did it become a thing that sort of took over the internet and everyone who was talking and knew about this thing and was farming it? Why did the Loot Cave happen? Well, it happened because of abysmal drop rates and terribly frustrating RNG. And the mentality in a gear-driven game, which make no qualms about it, this is a gear-driven game, much like games that this often gets compared to, something like Borderlands or Diablo 3. This is a game that once you hit the max base level of 20, becomes 100% in terms of progression, becomes 100% about acquiring new gear. Now the game has a very easy way to acquire legendary gear, or rather a very straightforward way, and that is through the mark system. Via Crucible marks and Vanguard marks, within a couple of weeks, if you're hitting the 100 cap for each respectively, you can deck yourself out from head to toe, all weapon slots in legendary gear. Now you're not going to have, if this is all you did, you likely won't have legendaries of each weapon type, but you can have all gear pieces and all weapon slots with a legendary option available in a few weeks if you just focus on these marks. The problem though is with this cap of 100, which mind you, can be acquired in an afternoon. If you're running strikes non-stop at the highest available level, you're going to hit that 100 cap very, very quickly. Same thing with the Crucible. You can hit it in an afternoon, two or three if you're playing a little more casually. But once that's done, what else is there to do? Well, at that point going forward, it's all about, I'm done with the marks. Now, I'm going to wait until next week or whatever until I have enough to get my next piece. But in the meantime, it's about farming for more gear. So what are the options given to us? Of course, what Bungie would love us to do is to run strikes. And, you know, obviously we're going to do the Nightfall. Those of us who are capable and a high enough level are going to do the raid. And then there's PvP. The problem is that all of those measures kind of suck for getting gear, at least in comparison to just straight up grinding. Now, they took away the Loot Cave. Already this afternoon, I've seen discussion of Loot Cave 2.0 and another location on Earth in the Scrapyard. And prior to the explosion of the Loot Cave, there was the Moon mission, repeating it over and over again and just blowing up thralls and acolytes. And then there's the farming spot on Venus, which still to this day continues to be a pretty decent farming spot. I think the Loot Cave exploded as much as it did because it was so incredibly easy. It took, you did not even have to pay attention. In fact, I, in many cases, was editing videos here for YouTube while grinding the Loot Cave. It was just so easy. But even though it's not mind-numbingly easy like it was with the Loot Cave and Skywatch, grinding, when you're done getting your marks for the week, grinding becomes the best way to get engrams and thusly the best way to try to get legendary gear. And for a moment, it seemed like Bungie was saying, hey, don't focus on this. We've got this new great thing that you can do. We've got this Queen's Bounty Wrath. You can come here and you can get whatever your class is, a helm and a chest piece, and I've even seen discussion of a legendary sniper rifle, and there might even be more. And for a moment, that was actually a really great alternative. Now, instead of grinding the Loot Cave, I was grinding the Queen's missions because we kept getting these legendary pieces that we were breaking down for Ascended Shards. And then Bungie swoops right in with the same hotfix patch that they removed the quick respawn timers of the Skywatch Loot Cave. They decided, no more sharding this gear for Ascended Shards. So what the hell, Bungie, do you want us to do? Do you want us to run strikes? Because even as it stands, there are millions of other farming methods on each of the planets in this game that are so much better for getting gear than running a level 24 strike. In an average strike that I run, which will take, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, depending on your group and how much you guys screw up or how well you do, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, I would say if I were to venture a guess as to how many engrams I get, maybe like 1 or 2 green engrams, potentially a blue. Once in a blue moon, I'll get a legendary engram. And then the rewards at the end are always trash. It's never anything that you need, at least at this point, and this is coming from a certain perspective. This is coming from the perspective of someone with a level 28, almost level 29 character. I know that I'm on the higher end of the hardcore group of people playing this game. I know that there's a lot of people still in the low 20s. I would probably say the vast majority of players of Destiny might not even be 20 right now. But from this perspective, and even from those players' perspectives, from what I've read online, just gear acquisition through the channels that Bungie wants us to take, it's not rewarding. It's not even satisfying. That's one of the big things. It's not satisfying because even once you get that legendary engram, even once you get that, evidence shows us that the Cryptarch is going to bone you over because there's such a huge random element, and it almost, I don't know exact numbers. I'm sure there's people who have done calculations out there, you know, turning in hundreds of engrams and figuring out percentage-wise, but it, honest to God, feels like it is something close to 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times that I am dismantling a legendary engram. I'm getting a blue piece instead of a purple piece. That's not rewarding, that's not satisfying, it is just disappointing. So here's the issue. The means they want us to take to get gear are not nearly as good as farming engrams anywhere. Forget the loot cave, forget Loot Cave 2.0, forget the moon mission, forget the farming spawn on Venus. You could pick any corner of the map where there are mob spawns, and I guarantee you're gonna have a better opportunity to pick up gear than you will by running strikes or even doing the Crucible. And until that gets fixed, until these ways they want us to play the game are actually rewarding, there will always be another Loot Cave. We see Loot Cave 2.0, this will get patched out next week. Loot Cave 3.0 is gonna come out, a new video. New discussion about it on gaming sites. Bungie needs to fix the way we get loot. They need to make it more rewarding and less heavily RNG focused. And with all of this discussion we're having here, I am well aware Bungie has talked about trying to progress and make steps to resolve these issues that we're talking about. But don't ever expect farming in a loot-based game, which this is, to ever go away. Farming will always be a thing. And if strikes all of a sudden become the best way to get loot, we are going to see farming runs, picking strikes that are the easiest, can be done the quickest with the most amount of kills. That will be the next Loot Cave. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Just a little bit of discussion about where we are right now with Destiny. The game is still fun as hell to play. I just wish those loot hooks were maybe a little bit better designed. Have a great afternoon, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Keep watching and keep owning.